Season 5 of the Wave Italy Apex Racing League GT Championship comes down to the wire tonight for both the Pro and AM Championships in this, the 12th and final round. Nicholas Laubisch looks to be in a commanding position to take the Pro title, with Aaron Powell needing to outscore the championship leader by 50 points over tonight's 2 rounds. Whilst in the AM Championship, Chris Prescott needs to be mixing it with the front of the field to overcome Chris van der Nesse's 32-point lead. The historic Sebring International Raceway provides the perfect setting for the conclusion to a fantastic 3 months of Sunday night racing as we've bounced between North America and Europe, with a brief visit to Suzuka last week. Welcome to Apex Racing TV's coverage, brought to you by Lee Thompson and Andy Thompson on commentary, Samuli Kumo and Mark Tranter on production, with additional content provided by Andy Taylor, Christian Steenberg and Colin Weatherholt. Also thanks to Wave Italy, the title sponsor for the Apex Racing League GT Championship, for supporting the series and offering some fantastic prizes in the Pro and AM Drivers' Championships. Wave Italy's mission is to offer the best experience in driving simulation to an ever broader audience, with the aim of conveying the thrill of a real race to passionate and professionals of eSport and sim racing. They offer extremely well-performing and realistic devices, also suitable for corporate or private events. Wave Italy are providing the Pro class winner of the choice of their choice of the high-end Wave Impetus Imola or Wave Impetus Monza sim pedals in a colour of their choice. I think I'd be taking the blue ones myself. And the AM class winner takes half a day of professional coaching at the Wave Italy Professional Training Centre in Verona. Find out more at waveitaly.com, where viewers can also get a coupon for 5% off any product with the code APEXRACING5 that they can use at checkout. So we can see the drivers are currently in open qualifying before they then move on to a 25-minute sprint race and then the 40-minute feature. Andy, it's great to have you in the booth here with us at Sebring. How do you see these 2 races playing out tonight?
Yeah, definitely looking forward to this one, Lee. Sebring, I think it was made for these cars. You know, the super fast corners that we've got, real tight braking, and the real technical corners coming towards the end of the course. So really looking forward to tonight's racing. I expect it to be nose to tail for quite a lot of it. You know, there's quite a few battles out there that are going on in the championship. So I expect to see some nice tight dives into certain corners and then coming around, but I'm expecting to see plenty of action tonight on this rather iconic track of Sebring.
It is iconic, like you say, and we're going to have a look at the lap in just a moment as we're at the Sebring International Historic Circuit, and it obviously begins at turn 1, super fast turn 1. The drivers will be applying just a little brake to scrub off speed before throwing it in 4th or 5th gear at around 110 mile an hour. It's important to be patient on the loud pedal on exit to make sure the car is well settled on those tricky bumps. Turn 2 then is the very slight kink before the hard braking for turn 3. Careful not to use too much inside curb so the car can hold a tight line ready for the approach to turns 4 and 5. And again, drivers will be avoiding that tricky inside curb to make sure the car is as planted as possible for the best exit through Big Bend and the run down to the hairpin. Now for the biggest stop on the circuit, dropping from 150 mile an hour down to 1st or 2nd gear at 45 mile an hour. Expect to see drivers sending it on the inside, but it requires compliance on the exit and apex from both drivers as the track tightens. Hard on the throttle now through turns 8 and 9, ready for the tricky braking at turn 10 and the switchback through the double apex turn 11. We're on to the far end of the circuit now as we approach Tower Corner and back to 3rd again before being careful on the power over the bumps. Flat now through turn 14, heavily cutting over the curb before quickly arriving at turn 15, down to 85 mile an hour again, straightening out the corner as much as possible by scrambling over the inside curb. It's important now to get over to the left as much as possible on the approach to turn 16, even off a marked track surface to make sure the best exit is achieved as drivers enter the longest straight on the track. Now onto the infamous Sunset Bend. Is there a bumpier corner on the road course, on any road course in the world? Well, this is where we'd expect most changes of position to happen, with the long straight before and a number of different lines available in the corner as this sweeping right-hander goes on as the car desperately tries to soak up the impacts on a suspension. And already that's a lap of Sebring International Raceway. It's 3.74 miles, 17 turns, featuring the unique dual surface of traditional racing asphalt and the World War II era concrete. The first race was held here over 70 years ago, with its signature 12 hours of Sebring taking place first in 1952, and even Formula One had their first race here in 1959. A lap record on its modern configuration is 1 minute 41.8 seconds by Japanese superstar Kamui Kobayashi in the Toyota LMP1 hybrid prototype in 2019. We can expect the drivers here today to be in the low 1 minute 50s. So, Andy, GTEs obviously as normal for the guys out there tonight. What's do we know what the most popular car is out there on track at the minute?
It's a bit of a mix. I mean, it started off being the Corvette was certainly the car of choice. Not many people taking the BMW, but Porsche, as always, a really strong car over many tracks. It's got great braking speed and corner exit speed on the cars, and we've sort of seen that throughout the season. The Corvettes dominating the first half of the season, and the Porsches seem to come back into their own now. And as we see the championship leader, Laubich, he has obviously taken the lead. Had a poor start to the season, but has had a rather excellent half end. There's only, I think there's only one or a couple of BMW drivers where the car has to be track specific for that car, really. I mean, this one I think is certainly made for the BMW, so it'll be interesting to see how they go around today. But there is an even split, and we even have a couple of Fords on the grid through Colin McKenzie and Mark Hutchinson, who's Mark's been driving it like a demon actually in that car, so doing a really good job. I personally like the Ford. I think it's a really nice car to drive, and I'm going to take the Ford revival for me bringing it back in season 4, rather terribly, I might add, but I'll take that accolade.
Well, say that Ford always seems to be the poor underdog. Nobody seems to take its fancy very much, but it's good to see the cars out there. Qualifying is just coming to a close. We've got a minute or so left on the timer. It looks like most of the drivers have already put in their final lap, but we will hang on before confirming the final grid positions until the last couple of cars get out. As we mentioned a minute ago, 2 races tonight if you're not familiar with the season. A 25-minute race for the first one, just coming up in a couple of moments' time. And then we've got the feature race, 40-minute long, at the end to finish us off. We were saying, Andy, that real tight competition in the championship for both the Pro and the AMs. Let's have a look at the Pro Championship standings first of all, and we'll see that as we were saying, Nicholas Laubich has just got that 50-point advantage over Aaron Powell in second. James Crouch and Danny Lee then a little further back at 945 and 918 points as well. So not only a battle for first, but I think a strong battle for third in the Pro Championship coming up as well. It's a little bit closer together in the AM Championship, as the guys there are going to be battling hard, trying to mix it with the Pro drivers, I'm sure, to make sure that they get the strongest results that they can. In the AMs, we've got Chris van der Nesse with 780 points and Chris Prescott then 748. We can see it's close as well between Colin McKenzie and David Gowrie again for that third position. So kind of both championships are in a similar state, I think, right, Andy? It's a battle for first and a battle for third in each of them.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's more obviously third and fourth in the pros, and certainly first and second in the AMs are the two hot ones for tonight. There is an outside chance that David Gowrie could get third in the AMs, but he's going to have to take Colin to have a disastrous 2 rounds for David to overcome Colin's lead in the AM Championship. But it should give some good racing tonight, certainly on them little battles. But I'm pretty sure there's going to be battles throughout this field.
Oh, definitely battles on the field for sure. Right, let's have a quick look at the qualifying results and the grid for tonight's round, or sprint race for tonight, sorry, for the final round of the season. Nicholas Laubich, championship leader, as we were saying, has taken that pole position with a solid result at the front to make sure that he is cementing his opportunity for securing the championship win for the season. Tom McMahon then lines up alongside him in second with Matt Chambers in third. Aaron Powell then in fourth with James Crouch in fifth. Danny Lee in sixth with Kevin Kittelman in seventh. Chris van der Nesse, we know he's well and truly in that battle for the AM Championships, as we were saying, in eighth in the first of the AM qualifiers, with Steve Burke then in ninth. Chris Prescott in 10th with David Bush in 11th. David Gowrie in 12th with Simon Kress in 13th. Angel Pedrero in 14th with Colin McKenzie 15th. Mark Hutchinson in 16th. So we've got the two Fords there together, 15th and 16th. Drew Becker in 17th, Tom Brown in 18th with Emma Wimbo in 19th, Tom Collins in 20th, Stephen Broomfield in 21st, and Christian Engelhardt brings out the back of the field 22nd. So, 22 cars for tonight, Andy. Obviously not the biggest field that we've seen all season, but to be fair, it's not that bad for the final round.
No, definitely. It's a grueling season, this GT. Like you said, 12 races. It's probably over about 14 to 15 weeks of races coming on these Sundays. So to have 22 for the last round of the championship, where, there's really mainly 4 cars in it, to have a grid of 22 is really good. But obviously, as we saw there, a great qualifying from Chris Van Der Nesse puts him in the perfect position in P8. But, he's got his main rival right behind him of Chris Prescott in P10. So right behind him in the car. So certainly the first and second place of the AM drivers is hotly contested. And obviously the cars are going to be right close next to him on the grid. Nicholas Laubeach, taking pole position. You would have thought that he may have taken it a little bit easy, considering all he needs to do is finish. But I don't think that's Nicholas's way. He wants to be out the front and he wants to be leading. Aaron Powell, his championship contenders, in 4th place at the moment, so still within fighting touches. So it's going to be interesting these first couple of laps. Tires are cold on a really fast track, and let's see what it brings us lap 1.
Well, it's going to bring us action, I think. I mean, it's such a tricky racetrack with, the old school configuration. We've not got these huge runoffs. We've got grass and gravel on most edges of the track. We've got this crazy track surface that we mentioned in the intro between the asphalt traditional and the concrete surface rather. So it's going to be an exciting one to finish, I'm sure, all the way through the field, not just for those that we might be keeping on in the championship battle. The guys tootling around behind the pace car at the minute, coming towards the back of the circuit already. And not long to go now until we start off with race 1.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting watching turn 7, the hairpin on that first lap. There'll always be somebody that will try their luck and try to go down the inside. And as you said in the intro video for the track sunset bend, there's so many different lines you can actually take through that bend. It'd be interesting to see how they take each car, how they take it through that bend. But we're just about nearly getting underway, so let's get down to some racing, I think.
We're definitely going to have some good racing here tonight, and I think we're all going to be well and truly looking forward to it. The heart rates are going to be increasing a little bit for those drivers now as they prepare themselves for this opening foray into this classic circuit. All running 2x2 as we're coming down. What do you think, Andy? Is Nicholas Laubeach going to look to secure his championship, maybe even in this first race? If he gets a solid win, then I think he's got a good shout.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the second half of this season, I don't think he's lost many races at all, certainly on the first race. And even on the second race, he's come through from the back of the field to actually take the win. So, you can't really look past Nicholas Laubeach. But the other battle, 3rd and 4th, you got Danny Lee and James Crouch in 5th and 6th, so they're right next to each other. So the mini battles is playing out really well tonight with the cars all close together.
Right, well, here we go then through Sunset Bend. Safety car is going to be peeling off any second. Nicholas Laubeach is going to lead them away for this final round in the Wave Italy Apex Racing League GT Championship. Green flag flies, and Nicholas Laubeach puts his foot down and gets a good run off. Looks like Tom McMahon is going to be under pressure, though, from Matt Chambers and James Crouch just behind. Laubeach got his nose ahead into turn 1, but there we go. McMahon is side by side with Chambers and a little bit wide out onto the gravel as well, and gets shuffled way back. Does McMahon.
Yeah, Tom McMahon, a bit of a terrible start there, getting a little slight hit around turn 1. It's always a treacherous corner when the tyres are cold coming around here. But the big moves at the moment, James Crouch obviously up 2 position into 3rd place. Matty Chambers up 1 into 2nd position. So James Crouch winning the battle at the moment between himself and Danny Lee. Danny's in 5th, obviously getting on 1 place as well. So as we take our first look coming down into the hairpin, which is really treacherous, well, all the drivers keeping it nice and clean going through there. And obviously just shows the skill levels that we do have in this championship.
So James Crouch so far, I was just about to say James Crouch so far, the winner, having gained 3 places, but now he's just lost a spot to his Evo SR teammate Matt Chambers to get that second position. And whilst they're squabbling, Nicholas Laubish is off and away, and a 1.6, 1.7 seconds down the road as well. So this is an opportunity to really break the field. And yeah, we'll see how much longer Chambers and Crouch continue to swap back and forth, as Crouch right underneath the gearbox there of Chambers as they work way back towards the back end. And now, who was that off? Aaron Powell. Aaron Powell, championship contender, heads off the circuit on lap 1, manages to get himself back into the trainer cars, I think pretty cleanly there as they come onto the back straight. But that is disaster for Aaron Powell having any real chance at clawing back this point deficit on Nicholas Laubish.
Yeah, definitely. Probably the worst start for himself and the best start for Nicholas Laubish currently. I mean, we're only done 1 lap and he's already 2.37 seconds ahead as we watch Matty Chambers trying to get down the inside of Crouch. Managed to get it. So there's a run down here into turn 1. That inside line is probably the best line you want to try to be on, because what you will do is you'll push Chalmers out wide, which will cut his speed. So I'll expect to see Crouch there in second place. So, you know, currently James Crouch in second place, up 3 places.
Danny Lee under lots and lots of pressure here from Burke, sorry, is it? I got myself muddled up for a second. No, McMahon, sorry, alongside him with Burke just behind. I do apologise. Danny Lee, I think, is going to get hung out to dry here a little bit. He's going to be outside for the hairpin, and Burke is going to try and fill that space as well. So Danny Lee can't get back up the inside. How deep and late on the brakes are they going to be? McMahon goes in first. Burke does follow through nicely, and as I suspected, yeah, Danny Lee really had nowhere to go, and that's 2 positions lost in 1 corner. Danny Lee down into 6th position. Steve Burke gaining 4 spots from his grid position. Let's have a quick think about the AM Championship as well. As Danny Lee and Steve Burke side by side again. Chris Van Den Esse currently in 8th and Chris Prescott in 10th. So that's the order that they are in the AM Championship as well. So Chris Prescott is going to be the one that needs to move forward a couple of spots to really challenge Chris there, as we see Van Den Esse there hanging on the back of the pro driver Kittelman.
Yeah, currently got a 2-second advantage over Prescott in 10th at the moment, so in a really good place. All he needs to be is there or thereabouts around Chris Prescott to secure the AM Championship. But Steve Burke, always a quick driver, and you know, I would have expected him higher in the AM Championship. But I mean, certainly tonight 5th place, and very much mixing it up with the pros. But as we look here, Nicholas Lau, spinning at the back. Oh, the Kittelman. I think that was Kittelman. No, it was Tom Brown. Tom Brown there having a crash coming down into the Ullman Straight. You know, a disastrous bit down there. Not only do you scrub the speed, you'll get damage, so it'll be well up down the order. As we look at the lap times there, a 1:55.4, and the nearest time to him, around about a 1:56.
Aaron Powell, Andy, sorry to interrupt. Aaron Powell in the pits. Aaron Powell, championship contender in the pits. Nicholas Laubish looks to have the championship sewn up now. What has happened to Aaron? Obviously, we saw him have that incident, but I didn't see any contact. Maybe we missed it. Maybe the contact was there before we flicked across to Aaron, so perhaps he had some bad damage. But yeah, that is going to be not the day that Aaron Powell was looking for, as he is still sat in that pit lane.
Yeah, I'm sure our production team will be looking frantically to find why he's actually gone into the pits. I'm not really seeing that he's gone off the track anywhere, really. Maybe it's the damage that he did have when he come off there, but it did look very innocuous, the off that he did have, so I imagine it was. So I'm not sure what it is, but like you said, I think that puts pay to Aaron Powell's championship hopefuls for the pros. So with Laubish out front, and you know, he's just extending his lead lap after lap as we watch McMahon and we watched Burke and Lee actually, so we're on board with Steve Burke and man with Danny Lee, as we know from previous rounds, literally runs 0 wing or very little wing, so certainly on this track I would expect him to have the same. So depending on what the setup is of Burke, Lee might have the cutting down the straights, but as we see going around the corners, Lee is a bit squirrely, probably obviously not having that downforce.
Yeah, well, let's see if we can see that impact of the different wing difference. Doesn't really look like he's gaining much as he's coming down the back straight towards Sunset Bend. Certainly not going to be enough this time around. So if he is going for that big difference in wing levels, and it certainly doesn't look like it's going to pay off from the example we saw there. But see the pace he managed to keep through Sunset Bend. So I wonder if they do have fairly similar downforce levels in this example. Right, so as we're coming to the end of, or beginning rather, of lap 3, let's have a quick confirmation of the current top 10. Nicholas Lauby stretching his legs out in front in first position, nearly a 4-second gap then to James Crouch in second, Matt Chambers in third, with Tom McMahon in fourth. So second, third, fourth for the Evo SR and Evo SR related teams. Steve Burt then in fifth, Team Lizard Motorsport, currently the highest gaining driver in the top 10. Danny Lee then in sixth, challenging him hard still. Kevin Kittleman in seventh, with Chris Van Der Nesse in eighth, Chris Prescott ninth, and David Garrett in 10th, as we see Chris Van Der Nesse battling away hard with Kittleman there. And yeah, still side by side as they come off. Kittleman's going to have the inside for the next braking zone. So Van Der Nesse is going to have to go all the way around the outside, but he gets a good run through the fast sweeping left-hander. It's not quite enough to hold out Kittleman on that corner, but still side by side.
Yeah, definitely. Just a quick shout out on your YouTube from Gail H is obviously saying let's go Evo SR. So if you got any messages you want to give us, let us know, give us shout outs on the stream, then please post in the YouTube. Also, if you're watching on the YouTube, just give us that like and subscribe as we look on screen now to see what happened to Tom Brown. So took the corner pretty hard, coming down onto the backstraight on the Ullman Straight. Did he get out onto the grass? Yes. Ooh. So he gets slightly out on the grass, and unfortunately that kicks him off. He did manage to scribble a lot of speed coming in that, so it could have been worse than it was for Tom Brown. But as we said, if you're watching on YouTube, just give us that like, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell, and you can watch all the many series we do here on Apex Racing TV, as we currently on board with Steve Burke in 5th place, still trying to keep that position from Danny Lee at the moment, and he's doing an exceptional job. Is the AM driver. Danny Lee just jumps down the inside of him. Will he make it stick? He will have the inside line coming down into turn, and always back tries to push Danny out wide, which obviously puts Danny off a little bit, but Steve Burke manages to keep 5th place. But it's only a matter of time before Danny tries to make that deep lunge into one of the corners.
Yeah, what a fantastic battle that has been for that last lap. Pretty much the whole lap they've been squabbling away. How hard is Steve Burke going to defend into the hairpin? Very is the answer. So Danny Lee has to go straight to the outside. It does require a little bit of compliance from both drivers to try and stick it through side by side, and Danny Lee drops back, tries to get the cut back, but we could see from the onboard that the rear of Danny Lee stepped out, and he just wasn't able to make that cut back work, and yeah, just lost a little bit of ground to Steve Burke ahead. What other battles have we got going on at the minute? Mark Hutchinson side by side with Simon Kress in that 4GT for Mark Hutchinson, trying to cut around the giant BMW that we have on the track, and so close to each other as Mark Hutchinson cuts over the curb and bounces and ricochets back towards the track. But that time by Simon Kress just about manages to hold on. Hutchinson wasn't able to hang around the outside for that last corner there, but what a good drive he got off the corner. Kress, I think, wasn't really expecting it. Oh, nearly out onto the grass does go Kress. If you get offline there on entry, it can really catch you out because it's a flat corner normally, but only if you're on the part of the track you expect to be. So yeah, Hutchinson made that work for him nicely, and Kress is straight away under pressure now from David Bush from Lunatic Racing.
Yeah, definitely a great pass there from Mark Hutchinson, and has put Kress back a little bit from that corner. And obviously David Bush now trying to get up almost straight going into Sunset Bend. Probably not the best place to try and take on the Sunset Bend, because there's really only one decent line for here that can really compromise your line going too wide in there. But you know, David Bush just keeping on the back of Simon Kress at the moment. So there's a battle for 12th and 13th place. So or going the hot one at the moment, I think, is Chris Van Der Nesse. So currently in 7th place now, and Prescott is actually behind him, so about 2 seconds behind him, still keeping that sort of 2-second gap. But we have Kevin Kittleman, who was battling with Van Der Nesse, is obviously come off the track, so it'll be interesting to see what happened there.
Yeah, no doubt we'll take a look back at that in a little while, but like you say, Van Der Nesse did come off better for it. Look how close Chambers is to McMahon there as they come through that little sequence, almost pushing them along as they work their way through the second sector. But yeah, McMahon not phased by that at all, keeps it controlled under braking, and we'll see what kind of run Chambers tries to get onto the back straight as this battle is continuing on. Did it even stop in the meantime whilst we were gone. But Danny Lee just about managing to tuck in behind Steve Burke there, as yeah, they're going to start banging doors anytime soon, I dare say. I feel like Danny Lee obviously thinks he's the quicker driver and has the quicker car right now. How clean of a move is he going to be able to make to get by? We'll have to keep our eyes out to find out.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I mean, we can see here how close Danny is to the back of Burke's car, but it's when you come through the tight, twisty section that we get. So, just going to watch the replay here of what happened to Kevin Kimman. Oh, he just lost it there, coming down. I think that was turn number 2. So, a self-induced spin there coming down into turn 2, which obviously is now given Chris Van den Esse a bit of clean air because he was fighting hard with Kittelman. So now there's sort of no excuses for this AM championship with Chris Van den Esse and Prescott in 8th. But we're back onto this battle at the moment between Burke and Lee. It's just relentless, you know, the pressure that Burke is under from Danny Lee. But like I was saying, you know, coming through these tight, twisty sections, the Porsche's able to get a little bit of head, give him a bit of breathing space, and then obviously Danny closes it up on the straights with the slipstream and probably the lower wing on it. But this battle has been raging now for like 12.5 minutes, and it'll be interesting to see where it ends.
Yeah, 12.5 minutes already, like you say, halfway through race 1 of the evening, as I see Burke and Chambers just swapping position as well on the timing screen. As yeah, Chambers dropping back then actually. So yeah, so he's all of a sudden dropped back behind Burke and Lee. And so, so yeah, just recovering from an incident, we think, on the hairpin, we are told in our ears. So perhaps we'll have a look back at that in a moment as well. But yeah, fortunately, Burke and Lee able to get by. We'll see how quickly Chambers can pick the pace back up and whether he's going to start making this a 3-wide battle, as Danny Lee leaving lines in the gravel, spinning up that left rear tyre as he's trying to get that that best exit as he can onto the back of Steve Burke. And they work their way back towards Ullman Straight again for another time. And let's see what kind of run Danny Lee can take. Very different lines through the corner for both of them. I think Steve Burke was the one that took the line he wasn't planning on. We can see how much of a better run Danny Lee got. So Danny Lee forced to the inside. Matty Chambers just watching there in the background, waiting to take advantage of any issue between the two, side by side through Sunset Bend. Then it's a really interesting one going side by side, because you take very different entry speeds and end up with different exit speeds. Steve Burke has a little blink in the middle to make things interesting as well. And it looks like he's got a good run off the corner, trying to hang in there. Danny Lee's going to have the inside to turn 1. And here's a great view that we have from Matt Chambers as Danny Lee finally manages to slide up inside. Does Steve Burke get the drive off the corner? Can he get a cutback? It looks like he isn't quite going to be close enough this time by. So Danny Lee took him, like I say, 12, 13 minutes, like you said a minute ago, Andy, and he's finally managed to make that move on Steve Burke. The critical thing now is Danny Lee's got to get a clean lap in and make sure he doesn't allow Steve with a opportunity to stick his nose back in. And here's what happened with Matty Chambers then at the hairpin that we were just talking about a minute ago. We see him tucked in behind his teammate and just outbrakes himself. Simple as that. Fortunately, he has that perfectly placed escape road to use, and did the right thing, just taking his time, making sure he kept it all under control and lose the amount of time as possible. But there we go. Steve Burke suddenly popped into frame, and that could have been a lot more dramatic. Lucky for both of them there that there was space for the two of them. But I dare say that that maybe was a bit of a surprise to both cars. But yeah, it worked out well that time.
Yeah, so I think that pass was actually constructed in Le Mans. Obviously, Berg got a little bit squirrely coming out there, which gave obviously the emphasis on Danny Lee coming up. The Ullman Straight got side by side, and then sort of took around Sunbet, and then came round, managed to get the pass, moved round in turn 2, going alongside it. But it was certainly a long way back that the mistake was made, and took a little while for Danny Lee to get the speed up, as we're currently watching Drew Becker in a fight with Prescott and Hutchinson behind. So the Prescott has not got the clean air, so he's obviously looking behind him as well as in front of him, because he can see Chris Van den Esse's there, as we can see in the shot, literally just ahead of him. But then he's got a pro right behind him of Hutchinson, and Drew Becker, as we know, is a very quick driver, right on his tail pegs as well. So not only has he got to look forward, he's also going to be looking behind for the pros, and obviously Drew Becker right behind him.
Yeah, absolutely mixing it well and truly with the pros there. And yeah, Mark Hutchinson is kind of the man in the middle at the minute between that amateur battle. As we continue to watch the back end of the top 10, great to see these guys having the opportunity to continue to fight all the way through the race. Quick glance at the top 10 again. We've not had too many other changes from when we last checked in. Obviously, we know Matt Chambers had his little issue, which dropped him back a couple of spots. And we know that Kevin Kittelman had his issue that dropped him back to the pits for repairs. So Nicholas Lauby still out in front, nearly a 6-second gap now over James Crouch in second, who's just a second ahead of his teammate Tom McMahon. So that's still looking like that battle could develop again in the future. Danny Lee then, as we well know, battling hard with Steve Burke, and Matty Chambers just lurking behind. Chris Van Den Esse and Chris Prescott, who we're watching now, battling hard with Mark Hutchinson for 9th, with Drew Becker taking up that 10th position. So look how close Hutchinson is on the apex to Prescott. So he's looking to get a wiggle on pretty quickly as well and try and move himself up the field a little bit more. This is the part of the field where they're going to be battling for the reverse grid spots, I'm sure, for race 2. It's going to be pretty critical as to where these guys end up. And it's either 3 different lines that was taken on entry there. I really find that entry into turn 16 so interesting, of like how extreme an outside line do you take going off the track? How much do you sacrifice by traveling further to try and straighten the corner up? And it looked like that time it worked best for Mark Hutchinson as he dives up the inside into Sunset Bend. Chris Prescott has to relinquish and is immediately under pressure then from Drew Becker.
Yeah, definitely. Chris Van Den Esse probably watching this fight in his rear view mirror at the moment and seeing Hutchinson pass Prescott. He probably breathing a sigh of relief at the moment that he's got a car between himself and his main rival in the championship at the moment. Obviously, Prescott in 9 and Hutchinson's a sandwich in the middle between himself and Chris Van Den Esse. So, you know, anything can happen in this last sort of 7 minutes of this race, or at least another 4 laps going around this iconic track. I mean, I think this is probably one of the only tracks that we have that there's so many different lines, fast lines that you can take through corners. And like you were saying about the Le Mans corner around turn 16, you know, it's amazing to watch the different lines that get through there and the speeds that the guys get out of there. It's amazing to watch. I absolutely love this track, and obviously with the 12-hour Sebring, it's a well popular track in the iRacing calendar. As we watch Drew Becker there just diving down the inside of Prescott there, so Drew Becker manages to get himself in front of Prescott as well. So Chris Van Den Esse's now got a 2-car buffer between himself and Chris Prescott.
Yeah, Prescott, like you say, just losing out in those last couple of battles, but he's still got time to capitalise on any instance up ahead, or even to re-challenge for those positions and try and pour his way back forward a couple of spots. Chris Van Den Esse under lots of pressure now from Mark Hutchinson, so you can see how Hutchinson has gapped the 2 cars just in the back of shot there. That's who he was battling with just a few moments ago, and Van Den Esse already feeling the pressure, goes defensive very, very early as they head down Ormond Straight. Mark Hutchinson looks like he's going to try and make the same move he did previous time by, switches to the outside. Can he keep enough momentum on entry to get in front? He can't. Runs a little bit too wide, I think, mid-corner. Let's see how well he can cut back and get the drive off the corner. Does a very good job of it, completely side by side, and I dare say he's got the better run. It looks like Andy off the corner. Indeed, he does. Sweeps in front of Van Den Esse. Cracking job from Hutchinson. So he actually took two different methods, if you like, in 2 different laps to get around at Sunset Bend there. And yeah, that line on that one, I thought it was going to be a little bit wide initially. We saw him kind of disappear out from shot as there's tyre smoke ahead. Don't see anyone having a big issue though. And yeah, great job from Hutchinson getting another spot up into 7th.
Yeah, definitely. I think there might have been an incident with Steve Burke. I'm seeing that he's crashed on our screen, so he might have had a slight incident, and we can obviously see him now back in 6th place. I'm not sure if there's an incident there or what, but you know, this might pay well for Chris having Mark in front of him. He'll have a decent pro that's quick running around this track, and it'd be somebody to keep in. As long as he keep within his slipstream, it'll give him the perfect platform to just make sure that he does try and keep ahead of Burke. So it'd be quite important for him to stay on the back as we watch James Crouch in P2 with McMahon right on his tail. So, we're having these little battles between the Corvettes and the Porsches tonight, and seems to be a bit of a stalemate between the two cars. They sort of have them evenly matched, as we saw with the big battle between Lee and it was now that we were watching earlier on. I think it was Burke, wasn't it? Lee and Burke that were between a Porsche and a Corvette, and we have another battle here with James Crouch in second place in the Corvette with Tom McMahon in third place in the Porsche. So these little battles are going out in the track and down the track. So it's good to see these cars sort of like getting a lot more evenly matched now, because obviously the Corvette at the start of the season was the car to be in and seemed extremely strong.
Yeah, definitely do. Say it's a decent sort of mix there in the top 10 at the minute. So we got Porsche, Corvette, Ford, BMW, all in the top 10. It's only the poor Ferraris that are not really represented at the front of the field here today. Good to check in with Nicholas Laubish for Urana Esports. Not had any time on camera, because as soon as the Crouch and McMahon started battling behind, that was it. It was his opportunity to scamper off, and we've not really had a look at him since. It's been a great weekend for Urano Esports. They had success today at the ADAC Sim Expo at the Nürburgring, winning the GT Trophy 500, I believe, for the team there. So congratulations to them. And also Nicholas Laubich getting his Road Pro license ready for the PES Contender season up ahead. So Laubich really competing at the very top level in iRacing, and it's great to see him out there representing his team in ARL GT as well. I mean, obviously it looks like, Andy, that he's going to have this championship sealed for this season, pending any kind of dramas with protests or stewarding or anything like that. It'll be interesting to see for next season if anyone can really put up a fight to him. I mean, Aaron Powell had a cracking start to the season this year, and then Laubish has just been on this winning streak for the second half.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said at the start, we haven't really talked anything about Laubeach, and to be like nearly 3 seconds ahead after lap one, it just shows how much pace he's got, even on cold tires. And so it's been an exceptional week for his team himself, obviously getting the pro and possibly sealing the GT trophy here in the first race, with Powell currently sat down in 19th place. So it's going to take I don't even think he'll be able to do it, even if Laubeach crashes out in the second race at the moment around. But 7.3 seconds after 23 minutes of racing in a field this strong just shows how much he has come on in leaps and bounds in this second half of the season, because he was struggling a bit at the start. But as we watch a replay of Hutchinson having a little spin there, coming around Le Mans actually, so gets it completely wrong there. So obviously took a little bit too much of a line and just slots in behind Chris Prescott.
Yeah, really unfortunate for Mark. All that good work he did to move himself through ahead of Prescott and Nesse, and it's all been undone. So he's obviously right on the gearbox of Burke there, so we'll see if he manages to snatch that position back. But yeah, unfortunate for Mark Verse. He'd done well moving forward. You can see the timer in the corner is nearly running out. 30 seconds left on the clock. I think that Laubish is going to just about complete the lap he's on, so we're going to get one more lap to go after this one. I don't know, maybe not actually. No, he's only coming on to the Allman Straight, in fact. So this is going to be the final lap that we are already on. There's Nicholas Laubish works his way down towards Sunset Bend. We can see Crouch and McMahon in the background, 3 tenths between them. I think it's going to be a little bit close between them two. We'll see how they pan out. But yeah, through Sunset Bend comes Laubish, dominant display from start to finish, and does a cracking job getting over the line as he disconnects.
He's just disconnected before. Oh, no
just
way!
Before the line. Disaster for Laubish. Shock in the commentary booth. Crouch provisionally takes the race win from McMahon by 4 tenths of a second. Laubish has popped back into existence on my timing screen to show in third. We'll see how iRacing actually ends up classifying that and whether that agrees with the overlay and timing system. But what on earth happened there? Like I say, dominant from start to finish from Laubish, and then disappears from existence off the final corner. Shocking.
Just watching him just about to cross the line, and then it just said out. I was like, "Oh, what's happened here?" Obviously, a bit of a DC incident. Luckily, obviously, he keeps his third place because that would have been a controversy if Lao Beach obviously just plummeted down the order and ended at the bottom of the grid after what was an excellent display there. He was nearly 7 seconds ahead of Crouch there in second place, but another great win there for the AMs for Steve Burke in sixth place, with Chris Van Den Nesse getting seventh. Drew Becker managing to stay in eighth place, and Chris Prescott getting 9. So a little bit more places and more points lost to Prescott to Van Den Nesse. So I think all Chris needs to do in this second race is just watch where Prescott is and stay within 2 or 3 cars or even 4 cars of him, and he'll have the AM Championship. But absolutely disastrous one there for Aaron Powell. Pretty much his championship hopeful is over there.
Yeah, it definitely seems it, and it's even more unfortunate for Powell that he wasn't able to be right at the sharp end with the issue for Lao Beach there on the final lap. But yeah, shocking, crazy. We will be back in a few minutes for race 2. We'll just have a couple of sponsor messages, and then we shall see you for this exciting final race of the season. And confirm what the race results were from race 1 now. We'll see you in a few minutes. And welcome back, ready for race 2 here at Sebring International Raceway. We've just seen some absolute drama on the closing lap as we're singing Nicholas Laubich's praises for being so dominant all the way through, and then internet connection seemingly conspiring against him. And we were just saying off air for a second there, he was very, very lucky to even reappear back in the field at all. He was gone for 15 seconds or so, we think, based on the timing. So yeah, tricky for Laubich, but at least he still managed to bag some good points. Right, let's have a quick look at those race results, make sure we're happy that iRacing didn't disagree with our timing system, and that he did get that third place. And there we go, we see that it still shows there. So James Crouch takes a win over his teammate teammate Evo SR, even though one's in green and one's in chrome. Tom McMahon in second, Nicholas Laubich then in third, with Danny Lee taking that 4th position. He ended up sort of 7 seconds behind in the end. Matty Chambers then in 5th, with Steve Burke in 6th, Chris Van Den Nesse in 7th, so second of the AM runners to Steve Burke. Rebecca then in 8th, with Chris Prescott in 9th, Mark Hutchinson in 10th, with David Bush in 11th, Tom Brown in 12th, with Stephen Broomfield in 13th, Simon Kress 14th, with Colin McKenzie in 15th, David Gowrie in 16th, with Angel Pedrero in 17th, Tom Collins in 18th, with Aaron Powell in 19th, being the last of the runners, unfortunate for our Pro Championship contender. And then Kevin Kittleman finished 6 laps down, Christian Engelhardt 12 laps down, and Emil Winbo 13 laps down. So yeah, that really mixed things up just at the end there, Andy. But kind of for Laubich, I'm kind of relieved for him that at least he did still score some points, and it's not like it's going to turn out to seriously affect his championship as far as we can tell. Race 1 was frantic, frankly. Race 2, I think we're going to see more of the same, certainly to start with, and then it's going to be really interesting to see how the battles develop then as we go through.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we've got 45 minutes for race number 2, so we considerably more distance to travel than the first race. So I expect the battling to be just as hard, just as intense for the full 45 minutes that we've got coming up in race number 2. But it's going to be I'm just so looking forward to be interesting to see. I'm not 100% sure on what the reverse grid is for race number 2. But what that will do for Lao Beach, it will put him a few places further up the grid from where he finished, obviously with his slight little incident there at the end of race number 1. And to be fair, you couldn't put it past Lao Beach to win this second race as well. You know, he just showed his dominance in that first race, being 7 seconds ahead of this standard field. He just seems to be a class above everyone else at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely does. Right, so whilst the guys are just finishing up their little warm-up session, let's make sure we can pay a couple of our bills. Thank you first of all to SDK Gaming for co-sponsoring tonight's round. With SDK Gaming, you can add a virtual live HUD to iRacing, enabling you to show timing towers, relative boxes, mini-maps, fuel calculators, and a lot more. You can also use it to stream to Twitch and display an overlay to your viewers. Many leagues, such as ourselves, use SDK Gaming as their broadcast overlay. That's obviously what you've been watching tonight, and it also allows additional features like syncing cameras between commentary teams to ensure that they are always seeing exactly the same thing as you see, the viewer. You can also use it to adjust your team's strategy on the fly with the most accurate live timing available on iRacing. We also saw an advert just a moment ago for Apex Racing Academy. So they currently provide 29 data packs, and with that you get setups, track guides, integration with VRS if you have a paid VRS subscription as well, weekly group coaching sessions for a number of cars, and access to the professional drivers for Q&A with Discord. So thank you to Apex Racing Academy. You can visit them at apexracingac.com. And SDK Gaming, by the way, was sdk-gaming.co.uk. So thank you to them. We can see the drivers are now on the grid waiting for their pace lap, ready to begin round 2. Let's have a little look at where the grid shakes up and how the reverse grid affected things. Well, look at that. Kevin Kutterman starting from pole position with Aaron Powell in second. So again, I feel like now's the moment for Lao Beach to be really, again, like counting his blessings that he didn't end up as a DNF and that he did still score big points, because Aaron Powell starting from second has the opportunity to score those big points himself now. Tom Collins then, the first of our AMs, in third position with Angel Pedrero in fourth, David Gowrie in fifth with Colin McKenzie in sixth, Simon Cress in seventh with Stephen Broomfield in eighth, Tom Brown in ninth with David Bush in 10th. Mark Hutchinson then lines up in 11th with alongside Chris Prescott in 12th. 13th is Drew Becker with Chris Van Den Esse in 14th. So we've got Chris Prescott 12th, Van Den Esse in 14th for that AM Championship battle. Steve Burt then in 15th with Matt Chambers 16th, Danny Lee 17th, and Nicholas Laubish all the way back there in 18th. So he's going to have to come through the field if he wants to get on the podium in this final race. Tom McMahon then in 19th with James Crouch in 20th, Christian Engelhardt in 21st, and Emil Winbo in 22nd. So so basically the entire field was reversed, and Andy.
Yeah, definitely. But I wouldn't put it past Nicholas Laubeach to obviously get back up in the position. Many times we've seen him in this position in race 2, and he's pretty much caught up with the front runners towards the that second or third lap. He seems to cut through and side through the field with ease at the moment. So it'll be interesting to watch his progression. But like you say, Aaron Powell currently in P2 at the moment. So terrible first race. He needs to make sure that, you know, he gets that first position on race number 2, you know, and then not worry about what happens to Laubeach behind in his race. He's just got to run his own race. I think he realizes that it's probably a bit too much, but it just needs to end the series on a high, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, he's had any way you look at it, he's had a fantastic season. So it's been a huge step forward for Aaron Powell compared to previous seasons, winning a number of races, so taking the championship battle right to the last round. So he should be very happy with himself regardless. But like you say, you want to finish off on a good note. So I'm sure he'll be absolutely gunning for the win. He will be kind of battling on his own a little bit in terms of teammates. You know, he's the only Evo SR driver starting at the front. All his teammates got that reverse grid, and so they're all the way back in 16th, 17th, 18th, and Hutchinson, I think, starting from pit lane in 19th. So Aaron Powell's going to have to do all the work by himself, taking on Kittelman and Pedrero and Gowrie around him, and seeing, as you said, how quickly Laubish can come through the field to challenge. Prescott and Van der Nesse, again, like we said, is going to be interesting for that and battle with them starting towards the back of the field as well. They need to get through the opening laps cleanly and basically just see where they kind of shake out and take their championship battle forward from there as we see the field working their way through those final S's and onto the back straight, ready to arrive at Sunset Bend and to begin this 40-minute feature race here at Sebring International Raceway.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see it all seems to happen. Obviously, in the first round, the high qualifiers get the clean start at the front, and then obviously in the second race, they always end up sort of like in the mid pack. So it'll be interesting to see how they come through with the slower drivers that will be in front of them. Hopefully, keep it nice and clean and just get through the field nice and smoothly. But inevitably, we normally do see a few incidences on this race too, with the pros trying to get through the AMs as quickly as possible.
Right, so here you go then. The safety car is going to be peeling off. Kittelman leads them to the line. He's waiting. Gets on the power now as the scream of the engines roars away. Powell did not get a good start. He's going to be under pressure from the cars behind the spinners straight away. It's going to be a huge instant. Andy on the front straight. We'll see in a second which of the championship contenders that affected back there. But Aaron Powell, of course, got through cleanly, starting at the front. And Laubish is out. I'm seeing Laubish out. Andy, that is disaster for him in the final race. Got him going again now. It looks like, I'm sure he was in pit lane. It looked like it showed on the timer screen, so we'll see. But he's got him going again in 20th position. Not the start that he wanted, but at the front, Powell, then Kittelman, then Gowrie, then Collins, and then Kress are our top five as they work their way down towards the hairpin. Is everyone going to get it stopped in time?
Yeah, it looks like Chris Van der Nesse, James Crouch, Steve Broomfield were all involved in that incident going down the first straight. And I think that Laubeach actually started from the pit lane, so that's why he was showing in the pit, probably trying to get out of the way. And looking on the face of it, where he was and where the incident took place, it was probably a really good decision. As we see there, big incident there going into Ramsey. Three cars involved there, as we saw. I think it was Simon Kress, Colin McKenzie, and obviously Danny Lee has been involved in an incident as well. So certainly a lot more heated on this second race on lap number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll, in a couple of laps time, once the opening of the race has settled down, we'll take a look back at the start and see exactly what happened and who got caught up in it. But we're seeing lots of bent rear wings and damaged bodywork on these guys that are still running. Look at all three of those cars in a right state as they're trying to limp on. I mean, a 40-minute race ahead of itself is going to be tricky for the guys.
What is interesting, Lee, is obviously we knew Chris Van der Nesse has gone back to the pits, but Chris Prescott has as well. So both the AM Championship contenders are back in the pits. So it's status quo for them too.
Wow, it's going to be battle of the pit repairs and see who comes out in what order as our timing tower starts to sort itself out with all these guys that we got towed, and they're going to get leapfrogged a lap ahead when they tow, and it's just going to take a moment for it to sort itself out. Let's have a look then at the replay of the start. Who is it that gets things started? A little wiggle there from Gowrie. Gowrie comes straight across and sideswipes the car alongside him. I didn't catch which car it was, and that just sparked the entire thing. We will see how the stewards view that when they go to do their post-race reviews during the week. But at first glance, that looked tricky. I mean, Gowrie was sort of tucked up behind the gearbox of another car, but you got to be so careful changing lanes off the start. You got to be sure that you got that space there, and unfortunately, that's what caused that chain reaction, wiping out a large number of cars.
Yeah, as we saw there, you know, that's one of the things that Sebring sort of pulls in with the drivers, because that start-finish straight is so wide. You can get like 3 or 4, even 5 cars wide coming down that straight. It sort of invites what we've just seen there, where a car just moves slightly, hits into the car next to him, and causes a massive chain reaction down the field. And you know, we saw obviously the result of that being 4 cars obviously getting back to the pits and trying to get repairs, as we've still got Broomfield and Prescott and Van der Nesse still in the pits currently. Probably going to be about three or 4 laps down, so they might not even score any points unless they get out. As we watch them now, Broomfield on the exit, and so is Prescott. But Chris Van Denessy is still in the pits.
And we see Tom Brown make a move on David Gowrie there into Sunset Bend. So Tom Brown up into 4th position, but Gowrie looking to get the drive off the corner. Rear just steps out on him slightly. I think that just cost him a little bit of momentum. We'll see what the toe can do into turn 1. It can't do enough. Yeah, he lost all that momentum coming off of the corner. Whilst we look at the guys recovering after those incidents at the beginning of the race, Matt Chambers here looking to make a move on David Bush, slots it up the inside, has a bit of a wiggle on the brakes, on the bumps. It's such a crazy corner is Sunset Bend, with the car just bouncing around the whole way through on these sections of concrete all the way through that section of the track. But yeah, Matt Chambers does make that move. David Bush then down into 13th, trying to hang onto the coattails, I dare say, of Matt Chambers ahead. And Nicholas Laubich looking to recover. He's now, the timing tower has updated and sorted this stuff out. We're seeing Laubich was in 10th, now up to 9th, sweeps beautifully around the outside of Simon Cress into the hairpin, gets a drive off the corner and goes scampering after Mark Hutchinson straight away. Just seeing the timing tower at the same time that Tom Brown and Tom Collins are still swapping places back and forth. Tom Brown gaining 6 spots off the grid from the starting place. Tom McMahon gaining 12 spots off the grid from his starting position.
Yeah, definitely. It's great. It's always great to watch Nicholas Laubich trying to watch the lines as he passes through drivers. He makes it look so easy getting past drivers to get up the field. It's just a marvel to watch. I mean, I'd love to be at that sort of standard, but I think I'd have to put 24 hours a day practicing to get anywhere near that sort of standard that we watch with Nicholas Laubich, who's currently in P9. But at the front of the race, we're looking here. Back again, obviously having a good race, up in 6th place with Tom McMahon right on his tail now, trying to take him into Sunset Bend. So he should get this position done quite easily with that overpower on the slipstream. So must have got a really good exit coming out of the Le Mans corner there, and obviously passing back for 7th as we watch Kilman has gone off again at Sunset. So we've had our first casualty. He's obviously taking it too wide going into that corner, trying to keep the speed, and has unfortunately hit the wall at the end of the exit.
Yeah, we'll see what happened when we look at the replay in a minute. I dare say it was him losing the rear, and that's what probably speared him off into the corner. But like I say, kind of surprising, really. That's our first casualty that we've seen, at least, and it's taken a race and a half to get there. So here he was in the replay, battling hard with the Centurion driver just in front. Looks to go side by side. There's going to be contact. There we go. Both have a big spin, both hard into the wall. But I dare say that's both of their races done and dusted. So it was a tricky angle for us to make any judgment on commentary as to kind of who was not tight enough. You know, was it that Kittelman didn't give him the Centurion driver enough space, or vice versa? But nonetheless, the result was the same. Both hard into the wall off of Sunset Bend, and both their races are done for the evening.
Yeah, that was Broomfield in that incident there, as we watch Nicholas Laubich obviously trying to fight Burke for 6th place at the moment, so manages to make up getting past Hutchinson, and obviously his next target is Burke, and seems to have got it done. Oh, big incident here, and Burke obviously goes into back of Laubich, and his car still looks okay. Coming back out in 9th position there, but I suppose that's one of the pitfalls of trying to come from the back of the field all the way through to the front. So you can see McKenzie right on the tails now. Laubich doesn't look like there's much damage on that car, so you might get away with not having to come in the pits.
Yeah, like I say, hopefully the contact certainly looked fairly light, so hopefully iRacing doesn't cause Laubich with more issue than it needs. But like I say, just a lot of time. I think more than anything, he's got plenty of time now left in this race to try and scramble back up the field a little bit more and gain those additional positions. Only 8 minutes into this 40-minute feature race, as we see David Gowrie under lots and lots of pressure from McMahon. We see McMahon have a little look into turn 1. He makes that sweeping move into the inside. Gowrie goes quite wide, gives him loads of space, and just allows McMahon to continue by pretty comfortably. So McMahon up into 4th, David Gowrie down into 5th position.
David Gowrie's actually done quite well out of that incident in the sort of first lap, managing to make his way up to 5th place at the moment, just obviously getting passed there by Tom McMahon. at the moment at the front, Aaron Powell is obviously pulling out a 4.3 second lead over Tom Brown in second place. So, you know, like you were saying at the start of this race, Lee, is that he normally has his teammates all around him to give him some sort of rear gunner support going into these races. But certainly on this race, he's had to do it all himself. So to pull out a 4.4 second lead over Tom Brown in second place at the moment is quite impressive.
No, definitely is. Like you say, he's making his breakaway up front, just like we saw Laubish do in race 1. So, Andy, I'm just having a quick think about championship points, and this can be a question to the production guys in the background as well. What position do we think Aaron Powell finished race 1 in? Do we have an idea offhand?
I think it was round about 2019th, was it? I think it was
Yeah, so
19th.
20, yeah, our mark in production says 19th. So I was going to have a little think about championship points. I mean, I feel like Laubish, say, having got that third position in race 1, is going to stay comfortable. But there is a lot of points available for the evening. You know, there's a maximum of 140 points available, and they went in 50 points apart. So, you know, Laubish does need to score points here, I think, in race 2, just to make sure he doesn't get himself tangled up. But perhaps we'll have a little think about those championship points in the background, a little bit more detail, and just check in our minds that we know where Laubish needs to finish, if at all. Maybe it's already secure. So we'll check on that, I think, and confirm as soon as we figure it out. As Cress and Burke side by side coming off the Sunset Bend, and Simon Cress getting the run on Burke, as we got a change for second position. Tom Brown going down the field, dropping from second down into sixth, I see now. So he's had an instance somewhere. Car looks okay at a glance. I'm guessing it was just a spin with no contact. But yeah, McMahon, Collins, Gowrie, and Hutchinson all getting ahead, and Tom Brown back down into sixth position now. As yeah, Cress, Burke, and Laubish all on top of each other as they come out of turn 4 and 5 and work their way down towards a hairpin. Laubish is going to get boxed in there, but fortunately Cress moves across, and now Laubish has got the opportunity to get 2 positions in one straight. Is Cress going to cut across on Burke? He doesn't, gives him the space. Nice bit of driving there initially. Oh, a little banging of a door between Burke and Cress. Cress just about gives the room, trying to hang on in there. Burke eventually is going to get the inside line if he can stay alongside. Looks like Cress has got his nose ahead, but here comes Burke on the brakes. Nice bit of driving again from the two of them, giving each other space. And Cress, just by the skin of his teeth, lives for another day.
Yeah, I don't think Burke fully appreciated Simon Cress's door over there, as we saw the obligatory flash of the lights from iRacing to say that you're not very happy, as we saw from Burke there. But I'm pretty sure Burke will be battling out with Simon Cress for quite many more laps at the moment, with these two doing really well. But like you said there, oh, big incident there, and Simon Burke hits the back of Simon Cress and takes him off around the corner. I'm not sure what happened there. I mean, can't have been that much of an overspeed between himself and Simon Burke. Very strange.
It was strange. I have to say, I didn't quite see the instant, as I'm sat here just having a little look at championship points for a second. But yeah, unfortunate for those two. As like I say, it was looking pretty tidy earlier on between the two of them, and it was a nice little battle.
I'll tell you what is interesting. I don't know if you've seen that, Lee. Is Chris Van Der Nesse is back in the pits. He's currently 4 laps down, so he's looking like he's not going to score any points for this second race. Chris Prescott is currently in P16 as we watch the incident here between Simon Cress and Burke. And
Got in the back of him.
He must have hit the curb, scrubbed a lot of speed off, and unfortunately, Burke hit into the back of him. So that sort of puts pay to that nice little battle that was brewing there, as we're currently watching the next battle with Gowrie, Hutchinson, and Brown for 4th place at the moment. So as we saw earlier on, Brown was currently sat quite comfortably in P2 behind Aaron Powell, and I think it was probably an incident in the spin round turn 1 that put him from 2nd place all the way down to 6th. So managed to get himself onto the back of Hutchinson and Gowrie battle, and we'll see what he can do from here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be, like I say, a little bit of a battle to make himself move forward in the field, as like I say, especially with how hard the guys are fighting ahead. Right, so yeah, I did just have a little look at championship points to do a sanity check, and by my poor maths, to be fair, I reckon that Laubish is secure pending protests confusing things with the points. So at the start of race 2, I make Laubish being 76 points ahead, and there's a maximum of 70 points available for the race win. So even if Laubish no scores and Powell wins race 2, as looks to be on track for, and it won't quite be enough for Powell. But like I say, that would be provisional at the end of the race anyway, as we await any results of protests and etc. during the race. But yeah, Laubish wants to score some points just to finish on a high regardless, but I believe he has secured the championship now as Matt Chambers goes up the inside of Simon Crest, but loses the rear on entry. Really kind of early for that rear to start stepping out, but manages to keep it out of the wall. It looked like is the rest of the car is going to be able to get by safely with him rejoining just about, yes. And so yeah, he survives for another day.
Yeah, that was obviously the tails of the low rear wing. They're not obviously giving him any grip around there, and unfortunately spilling it out as we're currently watching Danny Lee with Matthew Chambers recovered now and right on the tailcoats of Lee in 12th place at the moment.
Tom Collins falling down. Tom Collins just lost 2 spots going from 4th to 6th, so not quite sure what happened to him there, but it does seem like he's halted that at 4th for now, so just a little error, I think, and he's going to be battling hard. James Crouch and Simon Cress side by side as Crouch makes that move, I think, on Cress into that 10th position. So currently we got Evo SR 1, 2, 3. Andy, I was saying at the start of the race how Powell had none of his teammates around him. Oh, that didn't last very long. It's a full podium for Evo SR.
No, I think we need to call the team Moses because it seems that everybody has just parted ways. So all the guys that were in front of McMahon and Hutchinson have seemed to have little spins or little incidences, and they've all plummeted down the grid. As we see one of them here, Tom Brown in 5th place, trying to get past David Gowrie in 4th, as we saw the lap before, Hutchinson getting past Gowrie in the same place. So we'll see if Tom Brown can do it the same down into the Sunset Bend. So takes that inside line going into the Sunset. We've seen a bit of a mixed bag on that. Simon Crest or David Gowrie could get that overspeed coming around the outside, but I think he's a bit too far, and Tom Brown gets that 4th place back. So we have a pro 1, 2, 3, 4, and David Gowrie is still the top of the AMs in 5th with Tom Collins behind him in 6th place at the moment.
So we had a great little view there of trainer cars that Nicholas Laubish has got to get past if he wants to move forward. You can see that the podium is not very far away for Laubish. He's only 4 seconds off of the 3rd spot, and he's still got plenty of time remaining in this race. 24 minutes remaining, so he needs to not have any more incidents and not get caught behind anyone for a long period of time. But he's certainly got the opportunity with the pace that we know Laubish has got to finish on the podium for the last race of the season as he sends it up the inside of Tom Collins there. Gets the move done, and yeah, nice and clean off of the corner as well. So already then that's one of those positions ticked off, up into 6th, and yeah, like I say, just 4 seconds from the podium.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his lap times, he is quickest guy on the course by at least 1 second. So the last lap, he was 1 second ahead of 1st place. So fastest lap of 155.76 by Nicholas Laubish. And then you have Tom McMahon at 156.23 after that. So you can see he's got the speed, and as you saw there was a perfect onboard shot of him coming down into turn 7, the hairpin. How late he brakes compared to the cars around him with Simon Burke, considering they're in the same car, the same Porsche. He broke at least 5 meters, 10 meters later than and basically just got the pass done as we watch him here coming down into the Sunset Bay, getting on the inside now of Gowrie for 5th place. So hopefully nice clean take as he gets a move done before the corner.
Yeah, like I say, nice and clean all round. Laubish up into 5th position and already more than half a second off up the road of Gowrie as he came off the corner. Such was a difference in speed through there. We can see the sun starting to set now in this Sebring International Raceway. Obviously, classic setting for endurance races, so it's great that we're seeing this transition into dusk and the headlights starting to light up the track more and more. I dare say it's going to be pretty much pitch black by the time the guys finish. Interesting to see if that causes any issues for some people. I mean, a majority of drivers, I guess, it's going to be pretty rare that they're going to be driving kind of at night. I wonder if they've planned that ahead and done a little bit of testing in different lighting conditions, and we don't have anyone getting caught out with whatever it might be, brake markers, that type of stuff, and yeah, managing to stay on top of things.
Yeah, I'm just I'm seeing if I can find out what will happen in the AM Championship. Obviously, we started 32 points difference between Chris Van Den Essy and Chris Prescott. Obviously, Chris Van Den Essy beat Prescott in the first race by 2 positions, so would have extended it probably by another 2 points to 34 points. And I'm just trying to find out where Prescott would get for 16th. So it could all be down to the last race of the season for the championship.
35 points. 35 points, Andy, for 16th.
Oh, so I think Prescott might take the AM Championship here by 1 point, if I'm right with the point difference in the first race. I think it was it 1 car or 2 cars? I can't remember.
Same. Again, we may have to rely on one of our production team to help us out on that one, but like I say, it was very, very close regardless. I mean, the only other thing that could confuse things is that there is a 1 bonus point for no instance. I mean, it feels... Obviously, we know they've not got no instance for this race for sure, but you never know. They might have managed it for race 1, so that could, make the difference. If one of them got a no instant race 1 and the other one didn't, who knows? Maybe that's the difference between winning the AM Championship and a half day in Verona in Italy with our Wave Italy title sponsors. That's kind of interesting, going there for a coaching session for winning the AM Championship, and maybe the reason that you won it was because you managed a no instant race.
Yeah, definitely. But that's a bit hard for Chris. Obviously, done really well for the season, and on obviously the last race of the season gets. Unfortunately, we didn't see his second instance, so we don't know what happened to his second incident there, because obviously he took his fast repair on his first one. But that's a bit hard. So Chris, don't think he's going to get up to 15th. He's obviously a lap down at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see on that. I'll try to get the points all calculated before we go into the interviews if I can, or just straight off the race to see if we can. So I'm really eager to find out if who's won that AM Championship as we watching here. So there must have been a slight incident with Nicholas Laubich, because David Gary has managed to get back to Laubich to get that 5th place. So another slight incident. So Nicholas just needs to keep it nice and clean. He doesn't need to be battling with these people. He just needs to be keeping it nice and clean and get them points and take home the pro win.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, we'll see where he manages to finish in this race. But he has had a couple of instances now that's dropped him back, so he's just not making the progress that he might have thought he would. But again, he's getting past David Gowrie, and he should be moving himself back up into 5th position, as we have our perfect cameraman here positioned behind the cars. See the difference in entry speed between Laubich and Gowrie, as Gowrie slots in quite nicely behind, just tucks under the rear wing, and Laubich still manages to get the better drive off the corner and off to the start-finish line towards turn 1. So yeah, just over halfway through this feature race 2 of the evening. Let's just quickly confirm the top 10 again. Aaron Powell leading almost from start to finish, having started second on the grid in leading the field in the Corvette. Tom McMahon then in second, gaining 17 positions since his start. Mark Hutchinson then in third for Evo SR in that Ford GT. Tom Brown then in fourth, Nicholas Laubich in fifth, as we just saw. David Gowrie in sixth with Tom Collins in seventh. They're the only 2 drivers in the top 10 to have lost any positions from the start. Steve Burke then in 8th with James Crouch in 9th. Colin McKenzie then in 10th. Matt Chambers in 11th with David Bush in 12th. And then here is Danny Lee battling for 12th position, currently in 13th. And then just a couple more runners still going. Simon Kress, Angel Pedrero and Chris Proscott in 16th, as we were saying a minute ago. And so here's the little incident that we had with Laubich. Oh, hard into the wall, Andy. That really surprised me. I just expected it to be like a little slow down or a little wide or something. He hit the wall hard with that front left-hand corner of the car. That's going to have upset the steering of it, surely, if nothing else. Hopefully for him, he's not got aero damage and that sort of stuff. But you'd think his steering's not going to be straight off that. Very, very lucky to keep out the pit wall and bouncing across on the other side as well. Yeah, not the cleanest of races for Laubich, and it's kind of crazy that he's still running in 5th place.
Yeah, definitely. That was a big hit, and he was very lucky not to come off with even worse damage. As we watched Tom Collins trying to get past David Gary as well, so he's up his inside coming into Sunset Bend. So we see the normal inside-outside line, and David Gary getting that inside line back in, so should get the place back. But um, Collins will have the inside. Nope, he manages to get it done going down the start finish. So Tom Collins manages to take up a position in P6 ahead of David Garrett in P7 as Danny Lee tries to take it up the inside of Bush coming down the Sunset Bend. So again, should get this position secured. Coming out onto the start finishes. Oh, he just gets on that grass. So Danny Lee pushing it to the limits there. And I think that's the thing, to get these superhuman fast times that these drivers get. They're pushing it to the absolute limit on every single lap. And I mean, it was amazing when I've watched some of these pros back on YouTube when I've sort of watched them and looking at it, just looks like they've got no control over the car, but they managed to do it lap after lap after lap, and that's what makes the difference with these superhuman fast times that we see. And unfortunately, Lao Beach in this race is either his excitement of winning the pro championship or something else has sort of got into his mojo. But certainly one man who hasn't is Aaron Powell at the front. Although the gap is starting to come down, it was over 4 seconds when we previously looked. It's now 3.4 seconds, but that's still a very commanding lead with 25 minutes gone on this 40-minute race.
Yeah, like I say, at the minute, looking like things are under control. We can see that, it's not from like a single mistake or anything, though, that Powell has been pulled back into the reach of McMahon a little bit. McMahon's been chipping away really consistently each lap, getting around half a second on Powell each time. So we'll see how this develops. It could well be that McMahon does continue to close onto the back of Powell. And then, we'll see how they go in terms of kind of their idea with the team. In my mind, McMahon may as well absolutely go for the win and put everything into it, because Powell isn't going to win the championship now, pending some crazy protest somewhere. So they may as well go hammer and tong for the race win in the last round of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's unfortunate that obviously Powell had the string of results that he had towards the second half of the season here that paid really to his championship after the lead he had in the first half of the season. It could have gone down to the wire here at Sebring, but I think at the moment, you can't take it away from Lao Beach. It's he's just driven it like a demon, I think, in the second half of the season, winning the majority of the races and, often getting double wins. So, it's nothing really from Powell. Powell's made a couple of mistakes in the second half of the season, which put him down the order of the grid. But, Lao Beach has just been imperious in the second half of the season and has just stamped his authority and said, "You're not taking me." Yeah, so as we currently watch James Crouch at the moment, in a bit of a no man's land. He's got Steve Burke just behind him in P9 on track. So just a quick shout out to all our viewers currently on YouTube. Thanks for joining us here. If you like the broadcast, then give us a thumbs up. And also click on the subscribe button and click on the bell so you can see all the awesome series that we have here on Apex Racing TV. So this is the final round of this one, and we've got a very interesting series that are going to be following this, the Gauntlet series, which is 4 or 5 different cars around different tracks. The drivers will not know what tracks they've got until the night of the race. So, none of this practicing, literally get into the car and race the track. So that's coming up on Apex Racing TV. On Monday nights, we've got the penultimate round of the Formula V, followed by the Mazda Cup on a Monday. On Tuesday, we've got the GT Pro championship that's halfway through, getting to the latter stages of that, and then we've got a GT Pro Am series coming up afterwards as we watch here Danny Lee trying to stick it up the outside of Chambers going in. So we're looking at the and then on Wednesdays we got the Radicals, Thursdays we got TC cars coming up, Fridays We have the Porsche, the brand new Porsche 922 challenge going on. And Saturdays, we got a brand new Formula 2.0 challenge. So if you fancy taking part in that, then go over to apexracingleague.com, have a look which one takes your fancy, and come and join us on Apex Racing TV and get yourself into league racing. If not, then just come and join us here on Apex Racing TV Live and watch all the action as it happens.
Yeah, we've got a great little variety of series running at the minute on ARL. I'm really happy with what you guys, Andy, as one of the ARL admins, have been able to put together. You guys doing a great job of running these series pretty much every day. I mean, as you kind of ran through, we've got a series almost every day at the minute. Yeah, Formula Renault 2.0 it will be on Saturdays rather than Formula 2, which unfortunately we don't have on iRacing. But yeah, that's going to be a cracker. I've seen lots of the F3 drivers from the season that's just finished last night, right? Looking forward to switching cars for a season and having a little bit of variety in that. So that'll be good to see how those guys get on. So the sun is continuing to set here at Sebring, and McMahon continuing to close, Andy, down to 2.6 seconds now over Powell. Lauby still sort of 4 or 5 seconds off of a possible podium spot, so he needs to get a little bit more of a move on if he does want to try and take or at least challenge for that podium spot over Hutchinson. But at the minute, it doesn't seem like, with the errors that Laubish has had and maybe the damage that he's got now as well, it doesn't feel like that's going to be enough.
No, but I mean, the one thing that obviously Lau Beach has got is he's got clear air now. He was obviously fighting quite hard with David Gowrie.
Yep.
He's managed to get away from him now, so he's got a bit of a clean air now, so he can start cutting his own lines where he wants to go and start trying to reel in Tom Brown. That's you can see in front of him. It's not an insurmountable amount that's in front. It's only 1.9 seconds ahead of him, so he'll be concentrating now and just trying to get that top speed out of that Porsche, although it is probably heavily damaged after that incident we saw coming around Sunset Bend. I think he's actually still very lucky to be currently where he is in the standings with the way that he hit that corner.
I think so as well. I mean, so far I haven't really, looking at the left front corner there, I can't really see much visual damage, at least not on my side, if any. So like I say, somehow he kind of lucked through with that, but hey, there we go. He survived it, and he's P5. I'm loving these little cat's eyes that we've got on the edge of the track by the way Andy is. Again, we have this great onboard view now from what would be the passenger seat in Laubish's car, with the sun setting and the headlights beginning to light up the track more and more. Not sure I've ever actually noticed that before on Sebring. Perhaps it shows how long it's been since I've watched a night race here. Perhaps it's an addition that came in the last 5 years or something since I last drove a night race. But yeah, I mean, car looks all right on Laubish, right? I mean, the steering's straight. He's keeping pace with Brown. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he's a little bit down on top speed or something, maybe, but we'll kind of see. Main thing is steering straight. He's able to continue putting the laps in. I mean, last time by he was half a second quicker than Brown in front. So the car is not that damaged at all.
No.
Fastest lap, or personal fastest lap for McMahon that time by, so he's certainly looking to push on still with Powell as well.
Yeah, so he was about 0.6 of a second faster, Tom McMahon, there than Aaron Powell. So every single lap that goes by at the moment, he's just closing in on Aaron Powell in first place. He's only at 2.4 seconds ahead. Obviously, start of the race or midpoint, about 20 minutes, he was 4 seconds ahead. And McMahon's obviously just putting his foot down now, and is only 2.8 seconds behind. So chipping away at that lead at the moment. But yeah, definitely from Now Beach, his lap times are still consistently quick. His lap time for the last lap was a 1:56.45, so faster than first place and just slightly slower than second place. So it certainly hasn't affected his top speed and his ability to put in fast laps.
No, not at all. Like I say, he's looking pretty solid for now. Not much other movement through the rest of the field at the minute. Our timing screen is looking pretty much all white, which means everybody is a second or more apart. The only little bit of yellow we got is Tom Collins and David Gowrie, and then right on that threshold is David Bush with Simon Kress as well. So yeah, a couple of little battles in kind of the midfield and the tail end of the field. But otherwise, looks like everybody's trying to settle into their rhythm. And again, they just need to make sure that for the last, 7 minutes that we're up to already for the race, not long remaining, that the guys are able to just keep that concentration, keep the rhythm, hit their marks, and again continue adjusting to the lighting differences as they come through the end of the race. Tom Collins gaining over half a second through David Gowrie just through that little sequence of corners there, gone from a second to 4/10. So we'll see if he can challenge into Sunset Bend. Doesn't look like it's going to be enough this time, by the way.
Yeah, it's obviously talking about the cat's eyes that you noticed on screen and mentioned just slightly earlier is obviously, I think, because this is one of the endurance series on iRacing. You have the 12 hours of Sebring. I think obviously probably Sebring thought, well, I can't afford to put lighting all the way around here, so what I'll do is I'll put cat's eyes to make it easier. But it is very striking. I did the last 12 hours of Sebring, as we see Tom Collins all over the back at the moment of David Gowrie, just showing his lights left, right, letting him know he's there. Obviously, pulling back a little bit there, and James Crouch is now right on the tail of Tom Collins. So we've certainly got a little bit of a battle here between Gowrie, Collins, and Crouch.
Yeah, Collins nearly. I'm sorry, Andy. Yeah, Collins nearly outbraked himself a minute ago, didn't he? But yeah, Crouch trying to send it up inside now. Is Collins going to appear on the left? He's not. He tucks in behind. So yeah, 2 positions lost. Sorry, just 1 position lost for Collins on that one. But yeah, did well not to run into the back of Gowrie a moment ago as well. I'm seeing, yeah, there we go. Switch to it perfectly on time. Does Mark Tranter on cameras. Colin McKenzie sending up the inside of David Bush. And yeah, just about hanging on as they work through. The lighting on those cars looks fantastic, doesn't it? In these dark conditions, the blue and purple kind of LEDs on the cars fitting the deliveries perfectly as contact, door-to-door contact between Mackenzie and Bush. And Mackenzie loses the car, has to take to the escape road, gets it stopped. Unfortunate for them two just to kind of meet in the middle of a track a little bit there. But yeah, Mackenzie keeps it out of the wall, hopefully not too much damage for either of them. And yeah, they continue on.
Yeah, that's one thing I really do like about the Porsche on the night races is their side LEDs. It just really makes the car stand out. It's the only car that has that. As we watch David Gower here trying to put it down at the inside of... No, in fact, it was Crouch putting it down the inside of Gary. So Gary currently in 7th place and Crouch moves up to 6th place. But now that Ford is amazing on night races. It just looks so striking where no other car has anything like that. I mean, as we can see there, like... What an amazing looking car at night. It is not the fastest on track, probably not, but certainly in the night time it's the best looking car for sure.
Well, so I mean, Mark Hutchinson, as we're watching now, is showing that it can be brought round to enough speed. Currently in that 3rd position, he's been looking pretty solid there all race long, and he's still got this 4-5 second gap to Laubish behind, who I see as the main challenge for that podium. So yeah, Hutchinson certainly showing the virtues of the Ford GT here, even if it's not the most popular car. As Burke, Chambers, and Lee all line astern as Chambers looks to make a move on Steve. Burke looks to pull up alongside. Looks like he's got a great drive off the corner. Is actually just going to be through even really before they got onto the brakes, but no, goes deep into the corner. Burke continues round, and I dare say Danny Lee's going to stick his nose in as well, maybe if he can. And yeah, it's going to continue on this battle. It's going to be so tight between the 3 cars. Where is Danny Lee going to go as Chambers cuts back across in front of Burke? Danny Lee still on the outside. Where does Danny Lee come out with Burke? There we go. Danny Lee, then Burke drops behind. So 2 positions lost to Burke. I thought that was going to end in disaster a little bit there as I was seeing the 3 of them kind of boxing each other in. But yeah, nice and tidy in the end. And Danny Lee looking now to put more pressure on Chambers.
Yeah, that was amazing. And obviously speaking to Danny Lee a few times in the commentary booth at the end of these races, he has let it known that he will only pass cars if he knows he can get the move done on the corner. Otherwise, he'll wait for his opportunity down the straights, as obviously he runs quite often with a super low downforce to get the speed. As we get Lau Beach is on the back now of Tom Collins trying to get that last podium place as he tries to go around the outside of the first corner. Going to be on the grass a bit. Oh, yeah. Oh, bit of jumping here between Laubeach and Tom Collins. Oh, as Laubeach goes out wide.
Yeah, Tom Brown just completely locked up the brakes, speared into the side of Laubish, took him into the... I presume Laubish then hit the wall, didn't quite see on camera, but that was hard battling from the 2 of them there. But yeah, it looked like Brown just misjudges braking, lost all control. Whilst we're watching that, we had an issue for McMahon. So Hutchinson up into second, McMahon down into third now. So we'll see what happened there. Danny Lee as well up ahead of Matt Chambers. So I was saying a minute ago how like our timing screen had gone white and it all calmed down, but all of a sudden, then in the space of like 3 corners, 3 separate battles were kicking off. We couldn't keep up. So yeah, we'll check in on what happened elsewhere in a moment, I'm sure. But yeah, change of position at the podium. Hutchinson now up into second, and he's only 3 seconds still behind Aaron Powell. So yeah, interesting how the podium's going to keep developing. And here we go, right on cue then. Let's see what happened to McMahon. And in fact, Hutchinson is really close to him already. So I thought that looks like a controlled change of position there, but I thought Hutchinson was a little bit further back behind McMahon before then, and then immediately we could see right behind. There's the lock up on the brakes from Brown. And yes, Albish does just about keep it out the wall, but again, yet another hit on the left side of the car for Laubish. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, I wonder, so kind of what's going on with McMahon. I think he must be struggling on fuel or something, because all of a sudden he's dropping back. He's 3 seconds back on Hutchinson. So that's got to be it, right? McMahon's short on fuel. I wonder if Aaron Powell's struggling as well, because Hutchinson's gained a second on Aaron Powell just in this last lap. It's all changing in the last moment. We can see, wow, 2.3 seconds quicker was Hutchinson last time by than Powell. So Powell and McMahon short fueled. I think Hutchinson either doesn't realize he's done the same or is comfortable and has got a good chance of snatching the win map.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's actually had a race win this season, but it certainly looks like Powell is struggling on fuel as we see him sort of like short shifting to try and save as much fuel as he can going down there. But it makes it interesting as we're obviously on our last lap at the moment. So he's only just got to get it around the track. He's only 1.9 seconds ahead of Hutchinson. So it might come down to the wire. You know, you can see him short shifting. So he certainly thinks that he might not have enough fuel to try and get it in. Whereas Hutchinson is closing in all the time down to 1.7 now, going back up to 1.8. But I just don't think there's enough time to get this done.
No, like I say, we'll see if Powell's going to cough and splutter at the end. But at the minute, it looks like he's just about done enough. Matt Chambers has pitted presumably for fuel as well, I guess. I mean, he's been in there a little while now, but we'll see. But yeah, Mark Hutchinson still 1.8, 1.9 seconds behind, like you said, Andy. So it's just a matter of waiting and seeing if Powell is going to cough and splutter over the line. McMahon still dropping back further into the clutches of Tom Brown. So he's only a second ahead of Tom Brown now, 3rd and 4th position, so we need to keep half an eye on this. But of course, this is the last corner now coming up, Sunset Bend. Let's switch back to the leader. There we go. Aaron Powell looks like he's going to have done enough. Is he going to be able to drive off the corner? We're on board with him now. Let's see if he's going to hiccup at all. It is. It's struggling to get off the corner, but he's just about going to have done enough, I think. We're going to hear it just hiccuping once or twice, but there we go. Aaron Powell just about gets over the line. What's happening with McMahon and Brown? Here we go. McMahon dropping down. So Brown up into 3rd. And Laubish, I think, pushing Brown over the line as well, it looked like, or is certainly very, very close. So, yeah, McMahon dropping from 2nd down to 5th on the line. Didn't have the fuel that Powell just barely did to limp over. Yeah, both races tonight, Andy, we've had shock in the closing lap. And all of a sudden, it's just changed the result all around. Aaron Powell just barely hanging on to the race win.
Yeah, definitely. It was, you know, that must have been down to the milliliter of fuel there for Aaron Powell. Unfortunately, Tom McMahon didn't quite judge it enough. Had that not quite enough to get in there, and unfortunately stopped it being an Evo SR 123 there.
And so let's have a quick look then to see what happened further back whilst we're watching the leaders. So Laubish trying to go around the outside of Tom Brown. And I think, just pushed out a little bit wide, maybe to Brown. And there's the slow McMahon look, not being able to get off the corner as both cars, Brown and Laubish, fly by. And yeah, Laubish right underneath the rear wing of Brown. So yeah, more contact between Brown and Laubish there in that final corner. They already had that one just, a lap or two earlier. So yeah, it'd be interesting to talk to the guys in a little bit and see how they are feeling after that. But yeah, crazy finish to both races, Andy. I mean, I said race 1 was, the sprint race was frantic. We didn't really have a moment to stop. And then we still had the surprise at the end. race 2, I mean, it was still pretty action-packed. We had a little bit of time just to settle in the middle. And then, yeah, we looked like Evo SR had a podium locked in for all 3 of them. And all of a sudden, upset at the last moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what a great way to finish the latest season of the GT. You know, we've had everything tonight. We've had obviously DC's just about as you're going over the line from Lao Beach in race number 1, and then obviously fuel issues there in race number 2. But you know, the 2 main protagonists of this championship, Lao Beach and Powell, obviously getting both getting wins in the first and second races. So I think it's a great end. I'm just really interested to see where this AM Championship, as we watch Matty Chambers deciding to go the wrong way up the start-finish straight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, like you say, to see where the AM Championships ended up. It's going to be very close. I wonder if drivers themselves have an idea as to where they think they finished, but we'll find out for driver interviews in a little while. So we're just going to go for another short advert, and we'll be back confirming the race results, and then hopefully speaking to a handful of drivers in their interviews to finish up the broadcast. So we'll see you back in just a couple of moments' time. And welcome back to the final race of the season for the Wave Italy Apex Racing League GT Championship. What a final race we have just seen. Round 2 of the evening, say 12 of the season, into the night there at Sebring, and yeah, just action-packed, and just need a moment to recover from the franticness of the closing last laps, you know? Let's have a quick look at the official race results that we had from race 2 there, and we will then be ready for our driver interviews just in a moment's time. So Aaron Powell did take the race win. It was only by 1.5 seconds in the end from Mark Hutchison. We had that great onboard shot from Aaron Powell there on that final corner, hearing the engine coughing and spluttering, trying to get off that corner, but he just about made it. Tom Brown then in 3rd for Indy Autosport, with Nicholas Laubish right underneath his rear wing for 4th after that contact between the 2 of them in Sunset Bend. McMahon dropping from 2nd to 5th in the final lap, not quite getting away with the fuel the way his teammates did in front. James Crouch then in 6th with David Gowrie, the first of the amateur drivers, in 7th. Tom Collins in 8th with Danny Lee in 9th. Steve Burke in 10th with David Bush in 11th. Colin McKenzie in 12th with Simon Kress in the 13th. Angel Pedrero in 14th and Matt Chambers in 15th. We saw him in the pits just at the end of the race. Chris Prescott then the last of the runners in 16th, and so we'll see what the points end up exactly, but we think that final spot in the classified finishes was just about enough perhaps to give him a chance at winning the AM Championship. We will see when the official points come in, and then everybody else had instants right at the start of the race. Kittelman, Becker, Broomfield, Van Nesse, the other challenger of course in that AM Championship, Christian Engelhardt and Emil Winbo having a bit of a nightmare of a race there, finishing at the back. So yeah, that was an interesting, to say the least, Sebring that we saw tonight, Andy.
Yeah, it was. I think it had everything. A great end to the championship overall. I'm just looking at the points here, and I think according to the points, Chris Van Den still takes the AM Championship by just a small margin of 10 points over Chris Prescott. So yeah, so Chris managing to keep hold of the AM win overall, with Chris Prescott getting 2nd, and Colin McKenzie managing to keep 3rd place in the AM Championship. But that literally came down to the wire there, and I bet Chris was sweating a little bit, waiting for the results to come in. But obviously in the pros, Nicholas Laubeach takes a commanding lead of 1,299 to 1,239 from Aaron Powell, with James Crouch in 3rd place.
Yeah, and so we shall see how the protests, if any, affect those results. But yeah, those are the championship standings so far as we see it. So we're just going to have a quick look at the replay of the start of the race. There's the side swipe from David Gary hard into the car alongside him. And then, yeah, we don't see it, of course, from this onboard, but then carnage all the way behind. So, yeah, unfortunate for all the guys caught up in the back there. One of the guys that didn't get caught up in that race one, or that lap one instant rather, is our, well, provisional championship winner, Nicholas Lauerbisch. Nicholas, congratulations, we think. I mean, you know, pending post-race protests and exciting things like that, but we, as I'm sure you do, think you're the pro championship for the season. Race one looking super straightforward until the very end. Race two a lot less straightforward. I mean, how was the evening from your point of view?
Yeah, well, I came here 15 minutes before the qualifying started. My train had a 30-minute delay, so I was already like, I didn't even know if I can make the race. So I didn't really have any expectations. And then I was just driving 3 or 4 laps, and I felt pretty good with the setup and so on. And in the race, it also felt extremely good, but like 150 meters before the finish line, my computer or something basically broke, and 15 seconds later it worked again, and I was gone for that time. I don't know where I went, but yeah, then I just got PC. It was pretty unlucky for me, but well, stuff like this happens. And in race 2, I had to restart my PC, and I had the blue screen and so on. I really don't know what happened. I missed the start then. I guess I was pretty lucky to miss the start because it looked like a lot of carnage there, and then I was just trying to drive. I'm so tired that I was just really concentrating on not hitting anything or anyone and just get over with this race.
Well, and I mean, get away with it you did. I mean, so I'm sure you realize you're obviously super lucky in race one that after that, say, 15-second disconnection, that iRacing still put you in third place to score those, important championship points. And then from my perspective, I wondered if it was a stroke of genius that you had chosen to do a pit lane start for race 2, because like you said, it avoided all the carnage. But no, it kind of luck went absolutely with you on that one, I think, to force you to take that pit lane start. I mean, race 2 was pretty instant packed for you with kind of contact with drivers, things. I mean, any kind of initial thoughts that you want to share in terms of little incidents that you were involved with in race 2 there?
Yeah, I don't think they were such a big deal. I think it was Tom. He apologized to me that he locked up his brakes, and then yeah, I was on the outside, pretty unlucky there. And the last corner thing, yeah, I mean, he took a very right line and pushed me extremely far to the outside. I think he might be able to report that, but there's really no need to do that right now.
Yeah, no, awesome. Like I say, it's glad to hear that conversations have already been had and apologies have already been made. So that's what we like to see in the championship, for sure. I mean, say you've had a super busy weekend, Nicholas, right? I mean, we mentioned a little bit earlier in the broadcast that Urano eSports have had a great weekend at the ADAC Sim Racing Expo, winning the GT Trophy 500, and then yeah, we appreciate you rushing back to get back for the race tonight, and I'm glad it looks like it was worth it coming away as the championship winner.
Yeah, it definitely was worth it, but it was really stressful, especially when I missed my first train because we were celebrating too long for that win, and I had to get 1 hour later, and it was also delayed. Yeah, it was extremely hard for me to not rage a bit because I really do not want to lose the championship just because I cannot make the race because of the delay of the train.
No, for sure, that would have been a real shame. So the most important question to ask, Nicholas, is do you know what colour Wave Italy impetus pedals that you're going to want as your prize as the championship winner?
So my rig is complete in silver, so I think silver would suit it best.
Sounds good. We need a bit of colour coordination. Well, I mean, congratulations again, Nicholas, like I say, for the result here this season and for your result at Expo, and of course also for qualifying for the Road Pro license in iRacing as well. So it's been obviously a fantastic week for you. We hope yourself and your teammates will be back for future seasons of ARL GT still.
I really don't have any idea about that. With PESC qualifying and PESC World Championship, SCO
Yep.
new everything going on right now, it's a bit lots, but I will try my best to make the next year again.
Yeah, for sure. All calendars for the pro drivers at the minute, absolutely. But well, so we appreciate you being here, Nicholas. Like I say, hopefully we'll see you for next season. If not, then hopefully when you have a bit more of a gap in your calendar. So yeah, congratulations again, and yeah, good luck with like I say PESC and the rest of your series that you're competing with.
Thanks a lot.
Right, so yeah, that was our championship winner. Almost race one winner, not quite Andy. Nicholas Laubish, yeah, for not having an easy time of it at all. But like we said, it was worth it. He got the championship win. He gets those Wave Italy Impetus €1,650 value pedals as his prize, and yeah, so very good week for him and Urano Esports as a whole, I think.
Yeah, so a two-time champion, obviously won last season as well. So coming back and holding his nerve to take the championship again. I think the rest of the field are probably thinking, "Oh, please don't come back. Let somebody else have a chance to win this GT series," because he's certainly been the man to watch in the two seasons that I've been watching this championship over, and yeah, again he's proved to come out top. He didn't have a best start off to the championship, put himself under a little bit of pressure, but certainly the second half was sort of role reversal between himself and Aaron, and he managed to get a string of decent results which brought him up there, and yeah, it's been a great season, and I've been lucky enough to obviously take it over from our normal broadcasters, Dane Bard and Sam Fitzpatrick, to be able to commentate on a few of these rounds, and it's been a very special honour for me to be able to do this in one of the prestige leagues on ARL.
Yeah, it's been a great season. I mean, congratulations to everyone, especially who finished in the podium positions in the championship, of course, but also to everyone competing in this series. We appreciate the 22 drivers who arrived for this final round. We hope everyone had a great time, and so we don't have anything to announce right now for ARL GT for next season, but for sure it will be back on a Sunday night at some point in the future. So if you've been enjoying watching the season so far and you're interested in competing, then yeah, go sign up at apexracingleague.com, and you can keep an eye on for when the announcements come out on our social media channels or on our Discord channel, which you can all find linked on that apexracingleague.com website. Just a quick final thank you to Wave Italy for again being the title sponsor, not just for this race but for the whole season long, providing those two great prizes to the Pro and Am champions, say the Wave Italy Impetus pedals for the Pro champion and the half-day professional coaching in Verona at their professional training centre for the Am champion. Let's say all the championship results are provisional. We'll wait and see how the protests shake out, but yeah, we're pretty confident with the results that we've set out there in commentary. Thank you everybody for joining us. I mean, we've got no other drivers waiting for interviews, so I think we're going to call the broadcast here for this final round from Sebring, season 5 of the Apex Racing League GT Championship. It's been a cracker. Thank you very much, Andy Thompson, for joining me on commentary, to Samula Kuma and Mark Tranter for working hard on production all season long, and to Andy Taylor, Christian Steenberg and Colin Weatherholt for working on the additional content in the background as well. Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing season 6, whenever that may be, in whatever form it may be. We're bound to see some great races again. We'll see you then.